Alright guys, hey, it's Bill with Bad Tabletop Gaming, and we're going to be kicking into it straight out of the gate. Here's the piece we're going to be working on. It is the old school Imperial Sector terrain piece. Now, basically, when I get started, everything that I have in my collection, 99% of it is pretty much primed with this Painter's Touch. It is Rust-Oleum. You can get it at Home Depot. It's about $7. It's really cheap and it works well. Just make sure you grab the flat can, okay? Because they do have gloss. So the flat black Painter's Touch, it's really good. If you have now some really detailed fine style models, don't use this. Airbrush prime it, right? But for 99% of my collection, I use this Painter's Touch stuff. So just to get that part out of the way. Also, we're going to be laying down a healthy base spray of Beastie Brown by Vallejo. I picked mine up from Red Claw Gaming. They have a wicked selection, so check that out. And once we get it primed, we'll come right back here. Okay, so we're back. Now it's all primed. So when I start out here and I'm painting these kits, especially these terrain buildings, I always try to spray at a 45-degree angle, spraying down and moving down towards the base. This is going to create a natural shadow underneath. So if you tilt it down, it'll have all the black showing underneath, but from the top it'll be all colored. It just is a really easy, quick way to give yourself some shadowing and a little bit of texture in the kit. So that's just another little tidbit for you. And as is, like looking at it straight on, you can't even really tell till it's all done. Also, if you've got some pluck foam, get that stuff ready to roll. Make sure you tear it off, give it a little bit of texture. Once we're going to be sponging everything, it's going to come in really handy for this project. It's a nice, easy, quick way to do some terrain weathering. Okay, so first things first is we want to lock in just some quick, easy details. So I've got my brown, black for the chipping ready to go, and I've also got that silver color. It's bolt gun metal and Eshin gray ready. So it's got really good coverage. It highlights the light silver we'll be using for chipping well, and it's going to do a lot of work for us. We're just going to quickly cut in all the silver details. Doesn't have to be super good, like we're just really looking for quick and easy. So, and I like the one and done method. So if you can find yourself a metallic paint that gives you one coat coverage and it's done, stick with it, because it's always a benefit. So just locking in some more skull details. This is where we really want to make use of our time as, I guess, efficiently as possible. So if you are familiar with Next Level Painting and Kenny Boucher, as he says, you know, keep it busy in the Beats Lab, because really that's exactly what you want to do. There should be no lag time in this. Start to finish for this bottom level, part 1, it's about 45 minutes. And like now, it's a little bit slower because I'm showing you guys the steps and whatnot, but you could probably bang out this whole terrain piece in about 2 hours, start to finish. Like it's really quick. It's just you have to be efficient with your time. A little bit of fast forward here, cutting in these skulls, rest of the little details on the door. This part is a little bit time consuming, but it will pay off in the end. You'll notice there's a couple little spotlights there down by the door under where I'm painting. We will be doing an airbrush little OSL on those. I just, this bottom piece will be completely done by brush, just for those at home who don't have an airbrush. But the part 2 of the video, if we do a part 2, 3, something like that, it will be all done with the airbrush. So a little bit of something for everybody. And you know what, yeah, what the heck, we'll just cut in these skeletons underneath. Just hit them up real quick. Again, going for that nice one and done coverage. That's pretty much what we're looking for all the time. We're going to be doing washes, we're going to be doing a little bit of dry brushing, sponging, any little bumps or mistakes if you make them, honestly it's fine, just keep moving, because by the time everything's weathered you're really not going to see it. So okay, so details all cut in, and we're going to be moving to the next step, which is pretty much going to be going through and cutting in all of our gold sections. So I like to use, again, one and done, so I use Retributor Armor. It's a really good color. I'm just going to tilt the camera so you guys can kind of see me doing this at the same time. Also, forgive me, it's my first video of actually trying to do like a paint tutorial, so I'm just trying to figure out the best angle for the camera so you guys can see this happen in real time, and you know, for me comfort wise, so I can actually do this. But this seems to be working so far so good. And this is a very easy color scheme as well. We're not doing anything too exotic. I'm also going to paint the gold up here. I'm not going to go too hardcore in these wing sections because I can dry brush them once I go through and dry brush everything else. So we'll also be doing the trim around the door and doing little details. Right. So now we're breaking out that sponge, the Dryad Bark and Chaos Black mix, and we're just going to start hitting it pretty heavy all along the pillars, up and down, hit the skulls, hit pretty much everything on this level. You don't have to go like full out, you still want to see some of this beastie brown popping through, but you want it to give it a very heavy initial sponging. Definitely sponge the door, sponge the crap out of it, because that's going to be providing a lot of the grit. We'll be doing this weathering all built up in layers. So let me just move this around again. Sorry about that. So again, kind of keep hitting it through. If you're not super satisfied, you can always add a little bit more black to get a contrast between the beastie brown, the dried bark, and the black. Just going all along the window trim, everything, basically as much as you can get done. Don't worry about that big patch of skulls. We will be doing more with it later, and I'll be going over my quick easy skull technique with you guys. Alright, majority of our sponging is pretty much all done. It's starting to dry, starting to see a little bit of texture. I wanted a little bit more contrast here, so I added a little bit of that silver Eshin gray bolt gun metal mix, very light, and a little bit of black in there just to kind of darken it up in certain spots. This is really going to be our workhorse for the weathering. The nice thing about this style technique is anyone can do it, and the weathering is really going to sell the model itself. So you don't have to be the best painter to be able to pull this off. And this is obviously a starter video. We can go way more in depth later on, but this is just so you guys can get the gist of it. As you can see, look at those golden wings, those eagles. Everything's dark, everything's grungy and dirty. So it's yeah, it's pretty much ready for the next level here. Alright, that big skull pack, let's get into it. So I usually do a base of brown, and then over here we're just doing a super light dry brush with Averland and Flash Gets Yellow, like a 50-50 mix, all over the skulls. Try and keep it in one direction, up, down, just keep it fluid. We're going to let it dry a little bit. We'll come back and we're going to hit it with another Flash Gets Yellow. As you'll see, here's the color change. You can really start to see it now. It's one of those things that you can do at any time. It doesn't take long at all to get this effect. I learned it by painting a lot of fantasy skeletons back in the day, and with this you can easily crank out, I don't know, 30 in a night, no problem. So when you play undead, you know, big blocks of skeletons and zombies were the way. So anyways, we're gonna get back at this skull mural, and we're gonna give it another dry brush, and we're gonna be using some Screaming Skull just to start lightening it up. Again, really important that you stay in the same direction, up down or side to side. I prefer up down, especially on stuff like this. So if you can, concentrate closer to the top, just because that's where primarily all the light is going to be coming down. Alright, so we've got a little bit of white mixed in with that Screaming Skull, as you can see. Mix it up. We just want to do the final little dry brush here, just to get the skulls looking as good as they can before we give them all a nice healthy wash of Egrex Earthshade. So again, up down, trying to really make them pop. But it does look like bone. It looks really good, and it's a great easy technique. Nice. Looking good. Looking good. Decided while I was here I may as well quickly hit these little skulls. I was thinking about maybe doing them bone, but nah, this will be easier. This will be quick. Now, if this was more of like a display piece or a show piece, I'd probably do more of the bone skulls all over, like a relic building or some sort of mausoleum style. But honestly, the silver skulls look fine, especially once everything's dry brushed. Quickly gonna cut in the window trim, little archways here. So get that paint ready to go. Again, nice coverage. Get it all quickly cut in. Quick and easy. Again, keep going, just little bits, just showing you little processes. Hit these hoses while you're here. Again, making use of that time. Waiting for the window trim to dry. Got the base, got the sills, all the little wires, hoses, cogs. You'd be surprised how big of a brush you can actually use for this stuff, but if you want to use smaller, you can. This is just locking in some details. I won't hit every single hose just because, you know, that'll be boring for you guys to watch, but you get the idea from here. So, alright guys, one of my favorite parts. Now that we've got all our main base colors cut in, we are going to start washing this thing. I like to use Egrex Earthshade with a few drops of Flow Improver. It doesn't have to be super fancy. You just start, go 50-50, but I just start mixing it in, and I pretty much start on one side, try and hit the top and work everything down, as it'll all start to pool down anyways. The Flow Improver helps really kind of just working into all the crevices, but as you can see, it's not really staining the skulls, just kind of tinting them. So that's what you want. You don't want to go too heavy with that stuff because it'll pretty much block everything out, and then all the dry brushing we did, you won't even be able to see the result. So get that all done, make it nice, and we'll keep rolling here. Continuing the wash train, we're just hitting this door. Same mix, Egrex Earthshade with the Flow Improver. Darken it up just a little bit for when we are starting to do our chipping, which will be happening pretty soon. Before the chipping, I'm just going to do a quick light dry brush on all the dark metal pieces that we painted. I'm hitting them with the Vallejo Silver. It's a nice little bright color. It's really going to make some of the details pop. As you can see on those chains on the bottom, they hit up pretty good. This is just going to make it a little bit easier for us down the road. We're just saving some time as we're waiting for stuff to dry, because, like, again, got to be efficient with your time. So hit everything you can, tops and bottoms of these sensors. Everything that you do will just help. You can even go crazy, like work your way up to the tops, even the tops of the arches, give them a little bit of a weathering. Why not? We'll even go through here and start hitting some of the gold details. Give them just a quick little hit, just to highlight them. I know it's out of frame in the camera. Everything's highlighted now. Looking nice, looking sharp. Just hit the last little bits of these doors, just to give the last little pop of detail. Okay guys, so for the weathering part on the sensors, normally I would airbrush this black and then I would do the chipping and it would kind of look like it's been burning, but a quick easy way to get some cool corroded effect is to use typhus corrosion, and straight out of the pot basically paint it right over top of the metal like we're going to do here, and you can give that a quick dry brush slash sponge. You can put that oxide technical paint on there. You can use watered down Rise of Rust or Troll Slayer Orange and pretty much hit it all, make it look really corroded and cool, and it's a quick easy way to kind of give that I guess long weathered burnt look. Just to show you more, you can add a little bit more details to the doors by painting the hinges with the typhus corrosion as well. Be liberal because it is textured, so it will have a nice look when you start getting other colors onto it. It adds a really nice base layer to start all your vehicle weathering, damage, battle damage, grime, mud. It's great for doing tracks, all sorts of different stuff. So. Alright, before the final chip, I do a 50-50 Agrex Earthshade and Flow Improver mix, and I wash the entire model. This is going to basically darken up everything. As you can see, there's a nice color change, and it'll help blend in all the sponging that we've done. It'll give us a really nice solid base coat for when we actually start doing this chipping effect with the sponge coming up after this. And from there, hit everything, get it all shaded one color. That's the most important part. Okay, now that everything's been put on, applied, it's all dry, we're going to start cutting in the oxide technical paint. And I use it straight out of the pot. You can water it down, depends how thick or thin you want it to be. Corrosion's not all the same, it's going to be built up in different spots. Let's throw it on a little pop bottle lid basically, because it's nice as a little mixing pot if you need to water it down. And while some of the spots are a little bit wet, it's not really a big deal, just because we're just mashing it in. It'll all look nice once it's all dry. Depending on your I guess personal taste too, less can be more with this stuff. There is a point I think where there's too much. Don't forget to hit the gold accents. It definitely is a nice touch. And then we'll be doing up top with these little angel wings, and then the door itself. And the door is when it really starts to kind of come alive. Also, don't forget, hit those windowsills, hit the metal controls, hit the archways, all that stuff. All the little metal details. So, if you go a little heavy, don't worry, it's fine. Be easily fixed. That's the nice thing. There's no real big mistakes. It's for real, like Bob Ross. It's happy little accidents. Okay, finally, let's get that paint rolling. A nice Vallejo silver, get it all evenly on there. We want to be able to sponge for a while, get tons of detail out of this little beast. And here we go. Just start hitting it nice and gentle. Start working up. It'll really start to pick up the texture and the base coats of all the washes and whatnot. It does leave quite a nice bondable surface, and as you can see, yeah, you just start chipping it, putting on layers, moving up into the beams, start working our way up. Battle damaged, right? Like scratch the paint. It depends. Like this is one style. You can make it look more like concrete, dull finish, just with black scorch marks or brown or whatever you want. I do like the worn, torn, uh, chipped and aged, weathered look on doors and buildings like this because they've been around for so long. Makes you think back to the early days of the Crusades, right? Like some of these manufactorums and offices and bureaucrat buildings have been around for a long time. So lets you kind of roll with that. All right, lots of the chipping done. We're going to use that panel liner, little container, and just dab in a few different spots in the skull mural. Kind of make the skulls pop a little bit more. Nice thing is this stuff, if we glossed it, it'd be even better, but we're rolling with it as is, and it still flows quite nice. It just dab it real light. It'll start to flow into all the recesses, just to make the skulls pop a little bit more. We'll also do some of the panel liner onto the main door and in the angel wings and whatnot as well. Here we are on the door. Just watch the camera. Just little dips. Just boom, boom, boom. They just flow everywhere. This stuff is pretty much like cheating. This is pretty much, yeah, just little things we do to take it to the next level and the amount of detail we can put into a piece. It's a really good product. You just watch when I start applying it right to that center seam in the door. Um, it's literally 2-3 little pokes and the whole thing's done. It's just great. Gotta wait for it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay, I lied. 4 or 5 little pokes, but easy peasy. So keeping on, I'm just going to show you, see these gold accents here, a couple drops poking along the wing just to get some of that detail. You can really see it as soon as you hit this next one too. It's really nice. Load it up and boom, boom, boom. Awesome. Just adds that little extra layer of grit. Hit that top silver section, the skull on the door too. Notice we can definitely hit that. Yeah. Very nice. Right. So doing a little bit of a zoom in on the door, just trying to show you kind of the level of like grit and where that's built up on it. The building has a really nice transition. If you wanted to take it to that next level, you can always use some weathering powder. The pigment, you can mix it with water. Some guys will mix it with alcohol so it dries instantly. I have done both. Both ways work. To finish this little piece off, just to finish off part 1 here, like I said, Troll Slayer Orange, I'm going to water it down just because my Riser Rust is dried out. And I'll water it down, make it nice and runny, and that'll actually be kind of like my rust color that I can put along seams of, hinges, a little bit of flow improver in there too. I want it to be thin so it doesn't really overtake the model, but enough to that you see it. So alright, it's enough mixing. Let's get over there. Okay. Just going on some of the metal parts, really just trying to add little bits of detail here. And it's very subtle because I don't want it to be, like I said, too crazy. Nice subtle little bits on the door. You can even go ahead after this step and sponge the whole door like we're going to do after, just to add little bits of chipping, flecks and whatnot. It's just, you can get lost and do this for hours, and honestly, like, the whole thing doesn't take too long, so definitely try it out. Just finalizing last little bits of chipping here, just lightly chipping all along with that Troll Slayer Orange, just trying to add little bits here and there just to make it different. Added a little bit of gold there in that skull mural just around the one main piece. That'll be washed and chipped up a little bit as well. Alright boys, that's it for this video. Please come back for part 2 where we do the second and third level airbrush weathering, and we do a little bit of the pigment stuff on the bottom level too, wrap it up. Join us next time. Thanks a lot.